Right, good evening and welcome to the SimHound ELMS GT3 Cup, round 3 here from Imola this evening for another nice little evening of some GT3 racing with some of our oNiD racers for tonight. Can anyone beat Christian Kiesig? That is the question. He's been dominant so far, winning 2 rounds from 2 so far this season. But again, another circuit we can look forward to tonight with Imola, with a very tight, twisty, long circuit. And there you go. There's the championship standings so far. Christian Kiesig currently 12 points in the lead of Chris Downing, followed by Rob Appleton. Slightly normal, well, not so normal order. There'll be some people jumping up, moving around. I know Matt Townsend missed the first round. So with the drop rounds coming into effect over the season, that championship order will forever keep changing, but all nice and close so far. Only 82 points separating the top 10 in the field, which sounds like a lot, but we've still got another 3 races to go, so it can all mess around, change a bit. So yes, it's all going to be very, very exciting. Before I get too far into this, though, I'm going to introduce my co-commentator, Sam Grant. Sam, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, well, thank you, Tom. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my favorite track. I was just saying to Tom before the stream started, I think this is going to be the best race of the series, personally. But I'm very Imola biased, Tom, as we well know. Yeah, let's get to it. Obviously, we've got qualifying 6 minutes to go. A lot of drivers obviously got their bankers lap in, got their push laps in. But before that, Tom, let's have a little look at a new addition. If I can find the button, here we go. Obviously,
very nice.
Yeah, for the first time on this stream or in the series, we've got a little walkthrough of the circuit. Obviously, sector breakdown, elevation shown there. Tosser, obviously, before going up the hill, obviously to Puritella. I always forget the name of that corner. And then down to Aquaminerale, infamous complex there. And very technical circuit, Tom. A lot of drivers going to be on their toes non-stop tonight.
Yeah, no, especially a lot of elevation changes, though. They, as you can see there, from the lowest point to the highest point there, 32.7 meters in elevation change just towards the middle part of Sector 2 going through Puritella. It is a bit of like a roller coaster, this circuit. It's very tight, very twisty, and, well, usually quite quick at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's see how the drivers are faring out on circuit, shall we? We've obviously got a few minutes left of qualifying. A few drivers still with plenty of improvements in their pocket. Let's get the stuff on the screen so we can all have a look together. Leonard Rodhams is one of the drivers in question. P9 is predicted so far from 14th, so a massive improvement if he can get this to the line. Obviously, Sector 1, 1.5 tenths up, not bad at all. That's for sure. I'm not sure where he's going through. We'll keep it in the margins the best you can, neutralising his gains there in Sector 2, unfortunately. And one thing as well we're going to face a lot of tonight, Tom, is we've just seen part of it, is track limits. You know, track limits in terms of keeping the track legal and not getting penalties for it. And secondly, the gravel and the grass, it's immediate. There's no massive runoffs.
No, not at all. It's like I said at the start, it's a tight circuit. There's not really that many areas where you can abuse very much, because as you can see here, you just go into the gravel trap. It's not one of those circuits that gives you too much, but the thing is, because of its tight nature, it does force you out wide, and it is very easy to just go dip 4 wheels outside the white line of the circuit. And well, there you go, that's already one violation of the track limits, and it can be very easy, especially into this corner, Puritella as well. Like, look how wide you can go. Obviously, the gravel trap is just there, but you can still just run 4 wheels wide. I think it's been the word of the season, but it's another momentum circuit, this one. You need to keep it online to stand a decent chance of, well, not being overtaken and being the quickest car on the circuit. As soon as you try and move offline on this track, it's so twisty and awkward. You're completely offline, completely losing all your speed, and probably losing a position as well.
Yeah, indeed, certainly is the case here. And lots of elevation as well. You know, it's one of those corners, circuits, you have to be thinking ahead before a corner. As we see Jeff Closer come down the hill towards the first move. That's a tricky corner. Probably one of the trickiest on this circuit. I mean, they're all tricky in their own ways, but you really have to balance the controls, balance the weight of the car. And again, that final corner, so crucial, so important. As we see Jeff Closer, they obviously practice a entry, pull over. Instead, obviously not quite having a good enough lap. They find, despite their pretty good Sector 1. Edgerton Carpenter here, some gains here, net up a 10th so far. This could put them into the first row, Tom, if they can get to the line without having invalidated their final sector. And indeed, they keep it valid, but not quite quick enough. Literally neutralized all their gains bar 1000s. And if we look at the gap between Itusa Carpenter and Appleton, you know, they need not even a 10th, Tom, and those gains, I've said it throughout the series as well, you put so much pressure on yourself to find those tiny gains because you know you can do it. You know, it's just so small, but so hard to find at the end.
Yes, it is very, very tricky, especially here as well, because as I said earlier, I'm probably repeating myself now, but push a little bit too hard, you are off the circuit, and it's a boatload of time gone from, well, what you were trying to save somewhere. And, well, as we can see, Matt Townsend doing a good job. It's his second round of the season, despite being round 3 after he missed round 1 at Barcelona to kick off this season 2 weeks ago now. But he seems to be settling in pretty well. Fastest first sector, marginally down in the middle, but only marginally from his best. So that's not too bad. It just depends how much he's off of the purple times. And again, it's all going to come down to this final sector of the circuit. It's similar to what we saw last week with, at least from what we've seen so far, the fact that drivers seem to be losing time in the final sector. It just seems like they have a decent lap up until the final sector. I've been editing a lot of stuff today, and there's been some people, and it's a different sport. I'm thinking of cricket again here, but it link in. They were talking about, it was Leicestershire cricket, and they were talking about the mentality of trying to get across the line when you know you're close to something great. And I think that's essentially what happens here, is that, you know, you've set 2 blistering first sectors, as there is Townsend does come across the line, does improve, I think, in the end. So it's one, as you know, not even a 144, that's someone else. But anyway, it's getting that mentality to get across the line and not let the pressure get to you. And I think that's why we see a lot of drivers dropping off in the last sector, because it's just that last little bit and you just need to try and get across the line. Anyway, coming across the line is Nazarian, who jumps up to 12th from 14th ahead of Bell and Rosims, who both dropped down to 14th and 15th respectively in this race. But here we are, Leonard Rosims is improving, Sam, up by 2 tenths in the first sector, which, yes, would be enough actually to move him up quite a bit. You can see that whole area from 15th to 11th, it was a big off for Rosims there, a big snap.
Yeah.
Did they lose the rear end there?
I think it was more frustration. Obviously, we saw them enter the first part of Aqua Minerale. Lots of curb on the inside. They went through the sector beam 8 tenths down anyway, and I think they cut the corner away. So really, despite the excellent first sector, as you're saying, just the final 2 in their case, just, you know, a bit tricky and not able to get across as they need to. And, you know, in these final laps as well, Tom, you know, it's squared, you know, that pressure. It's folded on itself. You know you've got it in you. You know you can do it, but there's only one lap to do it, and then you're kind of thinking, well, do I be extra cautious to get it across the line? Do I push and risk this, that, the other? And sometimes you're too cautious, and you know, and it's all going, and you're thinking about it too much as well, instead of just driving the lap, being in a rhythm. As we see Harry Brown loop it round at the tricky chicane, heavy hits on the curb there, lots of curb there to hit. And obviously the other thing here as well, extra factor in this series is that it's open qualifying. There are cars on track. You know, you come up to a chicane, maybe Christian Kiesig is behind you, and you see that in your mirror, and you know, you're thinking, oh, I've got to get through as quick as I can and not impede them, for example. And it all compounds, Tom. It all compounds. And it turns out in the end, the qualifying order isn't really what the drivers are capable of.
Indeed so, and I think qualifying is so important tonight for this race, because the fact that this circuit, again, it's another one that's very tight. You can see, especially going into that final section, you couldn't go 3 cars wide. You can barely go 2 cars wide on some sections. So if you do qualify out of order in this race, it's going to be really tricky, as we see Connor Dickman come across the line, stays 21st. It's going to be really tricky to come back up through the order, because you're really just going to have to time your overtakes to perfection. And sometimes that's not even good enough. Sometimes you just get stuck behind someone and there's just nothing you can do about it. So it's going to be really tricky if you are one of those drivers that's not in the spot you want to be in. But it's a bit insane that we're at the end of the session now. Yeah,
indeed. And something as well that Dan in chat has pointed out to us is, well, the track was a toasty 53, 54 degrees now as we start into the race session. And as we are in the race session, Tom, let's quickly go through the starting order, shall we?
Yes. So Christian Kiesig's on pole, followed by Matt Townsend in his Ferrari. Third goes to Rob Appleton, and fourth for Adusa Carpenter. Rounding out the top 5 is Elliot Lewis. Jeff Kloss, a good 6th place for him in the Porsche. 7th goes to Dan Tomlinson. Mike Wilson is in 8th in the Lexus. 9th for Petty Jelinek, and well, finishing the top 10 is Dave Spinner. 11th is Ben Sullivan, and Harry Brown finishes up in 12th. 13th place for Josep Nazarian, and Christopher Bell sits in 14th. A failure to improve for Leonard Rosems leaves them 15th, and Kevin Lezen 16th. 17th is Brian J. Anderson, and 18th, well, one of the only marks, is Fran Doric. 19th, Matthias Fusgen. 20th is Alan Appleton. 21st, Connor Dickman. Luke Sherlock, also in the movie livery, in 22nd. 23rd is Dan Stevens. Artemis Ashley is in 24th. 25 is Alex J. Wood, and rounding out the grid is Maximiliano Ferrari.
Indeed, and they are obviously making their way onto the grid now in the final 15 seconds of the kind of warm-up time, really. Yeah, 53 degrees in qualifying, 54 degrees, whatever it was. 2 degrees is the forecast supposed to increase by. So, goodness knows what that's going to do to the circuit, to the track itself. Over this hour-long race. Obviously 4 times time as well, I believe, just to speed things up a bit. And there is a mandatory pit stop as well tonight. So when the drivers want to take that, that's up to them. I think it's going to be crucial when they do that tonight, more so than other nights. Again, it's a tricky circuit. Getting past traffic is going to be its own game entirely. So maybe a tactical pit stop to dodge that could come to reap many rewards.
I just want to say before we start, I think with those obstacles that you mentioned, it does seem like a race that falls to Christian Kiesig. I don't want to jump the gun yet, but very tactical this seems like it's going to be tonight, and we know what he's like. He's very precise, has a plan for everything, so I think he's going to be the one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I agree, unless he just runs away at the beginning and we won't see him again for an hour. And
Yeah,
we'll see
or that.
We'll see what happens.
Yes, no, we will. Well, anyway, the cars slowly come up towards the start-finish line to get us underway with an hour's racing in just a moment's time. Can Townsend come in? Christopher Bell gets a penalty off the start line. Drive-through for him for being out of place. But as they cars roar down towards turn 1, it's not a good start for the Ferrari. Actually, no, it's actually tucked in behind. I didn't see it. And actually he's trying to get a slipstream to come around the outside of Kiesig, which will turn to the inside for turn 3. Can he get it moved on? No, he can't. The Lexus of Appleton moves up into third place. It's Carpenter now down to 4th. Kloss into the top 5 of the field as Elliot Lewis drops to 6th. Dan Tomlinson fighting side by side with him as they run side by side through this section of the circuit. It is Lewis that eventually comes out on top, reclaims 6th place in this race, and actually looking for a move on the Porsche of Kloss as well. Couldn't quite make it work as we now head up the hill towards Piratella, and as we come back, it's Harry Brown fighting for 11th place with Sullivan. It's not really any moves going on. The Lexus looks up the inside. It was a bit of a bold move, but that wasn't going to happen. That was Lesden on Anderson. And it looks like, again, the cars are going into single file. As I mentioned, it's going to be very tricky to overtake here. Don't want to put yourself out of position on circuit this early in the race, because you have an absolute gaggle of cars come past you, as we've already lost Fran Doric from this race, the DNF. Not quite sure what's happened to them. Maybe some someone scuffles, as you can see the dust being kicked up, some drivers dropping 2 right-hand wheels into that gravel trap as Nazarian sits in 14th, Brown in 12th, Bell 13th, and actually here we are, move going on the Porsche. This is for a place inside the top 10. It's Sullivan up against Jelinek. Jelinek struggling for the corner exit, and we know how quick the Lexus can be in a straight line as we come to the end of lap 1. Another Lexus off in the background. That is Lezen, who just, well, goes for a bit of the rallycross technique there and actually is paying for that. Currently, as we come down the start-finish straight, will there be a move from the Lexus? The leaders are still all together. Kiesig opening up nearly a second gap, just under 9 tenths. In the background, the McLarens are fighting with one another. It seems like Dan Tomlinson is actually under more pressure now from Dave Splinter, who is looking for a move. But I mean, again, it's going to be very challenging to try and get that one done into Villeneuve. And, well, yes, has decided eventually not to go for a move. And actually, there you go. You can see where it can go wrong because Lex is pushed out wide. That gives the Porsche of Harry Brown an excellent opportunity to drive straight on past Ben Sullivan. And Sullivan falls down one place. He is going to try to come back at Harry Brown. He's going to have the outside coming up towards Piratella now. Let's see if he can get the move done. He's already ahead. Is Harry Brown going to come up the inside? He does. They're side by side, but the momentum held, and actually they're still with one another. I thought Brown was going to get washed away there, but not at all. So now as they come into Acre Minerale, they're side by side. Oh, big contact. Harry Brown runs wide, and there you go. Offline, loses 1, 2, 3 positions there just by being a little bit too feisty. Could be 4 as the BMW comes alongside. We can ride on board with Connor Dickman. Anderson is going to go to the inside, which will then go to the outside for this chicane, but actually Harry Brown, very fair, actually gets out the move. But the issue is he's lost momentum again, and it's going to bring Connor Dickman into this. Is Dickman going to have a look? I don't think so. Could potentially try a send into the final couple of corners into Ravazza in just a second's time, but no, not close enough. And well, I feel like I've been talking for too long, Sam, so I'll let you come in.
No, it's so much going on, and obviously the name of the game right now, and for the next, I don't know, 5 laps at least, is don't make a mistake. And it sounds so obvious, but when the cars are in this kind of stream right now, you make a little mistake. It's not, you're not losing time, you're not losing one position. You're being out of place. Maybe 2, 3 cars are getting on by, and you're going to be so out of sync with the other cars going by, as we've seen. Loads of drivers here dropping down 3 places, 4 places, whatever it may be. So they've got to just wait by their time and just get into that groove, focus on their own race, don't look in the mirror, don't think about attacking too much if they can, avoid it, and just stay on the track and stay at all the right places. We've got drivers all over the place waiting to sniff a bit of blood in the water. Mike Wilson is sending it on the inside of Toaster, I believe, of Tomlinson or Spiller. I didn't quite catch you. Unfortunately, comes a cropper into the wall, onto the grass, gets going again, but now down 7 places or 6 places, whatever this may be, all from one little mistake, you could say. And that's what it's cost him. Is it worth gaining 1 position right now whilst risking 3 plus? Side by side go the Corvette though of Lenzen, wanting to get past the slow stricken Lexus. Obviously Lexus trying to get back up to speed, get into his groove again. Petit Unlek briefly also having an issue further up ahead in his Porsche, losing out to Hobstep Nazareth. They go side by side towards the chicane though, onto the brakes. Looks all fairly tidy. Now they've all got it settled over those curbs. Just a stream of Porsches coming through there as well. Fantastic to see.
A lot of Porsches entered into this championship, as I think I mentioned last week. Well, no, I mentioned last week. It's the most subscribed car in this series, very popular with people. And I mean, it was a popular car in the Corsa Competizione days. I think just that most people like a Porsche GT3. They do look cool and they sound pretty nice too. So, well, yeah, can't complain at all. As you can see, Christian Keating proving why it's a good car, sets fastest lap time in the race, dips into the 1:43s with that one. We can see Mike Wilson trying to find a way past Alex J. Wood. Let's see if he can get through after having a little bit of a moment. Actually, no, it wasn't him having a moment. Or was it him having a moment?
It was him indeed, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can see there, as he makes a move up on Alex Wood in that Corvette, who I called Lenzen earlier mistakenly. But Wilson, 10 kph plus slower on average last lap. So that's a huge difference, upon the other drivers who, on their normal running place, the slowest would be 163 on average throughout the lap. So really has made a massive amount of difference on their speed. As we saw the number of places it cost them, they're down 9 places since the start. So yeah, very crucial at the beginning here. As you said, momentum track, sure. This one, everyone is just waiting for their chance to pounce because of how hard it is to get past in ordinary conditions later on in the race.
But you do need to be smart with it, like we saw at Barcelona. You can't just send it, as we've seen. It didn't really work for Mike there. It just got a little bit too greedy, a little bit too contact forceful, and he did live to regret it. So it is about picking your moments. I think at some point, that's what I find in most of our series. Someone in front of you will make a mistake at some point, and you've just got to capitalize on it. It's all about patience, and I think it's about finding the niche, well, not niche, the edge with that as well, the edge of the patience. Sometimes you can be too patient, sometimes you're actually not enough patient. So it's about finding that fine margin of not being overzealous, but also not being too conservative at the same time, which is, it's hard to definitely balance at a circuit like this, but you've got to pick your moments.
Indeed, you see Kiesig then extending his fastest lap lead. Obviously, that's not all for clout. There is some bonus points on offer for those fastest laps, so crucial to get. And then, as you say as well, it's not all about sending it on every corner. If you're braking as late as you can at every corner when you're behind a car, you're costing yourself time. You're costing yourself a good exit, and good exits are so vital here. Coming out of Tosa, coming out the final corner, coming out the chicanes, through Acqua Minerale, you need to have that constant higher average speed, that constant momentum. Otherwise, you leave yourself vulnerable at the end of the day to moves by other drivers. We see a tour of the lap by Leonard Rosen's in the Porsche, chasing the Porsche of Nazarian. Obviously, nice and tidy through Tosa. Get the power on nice and smooth. They use all the exit as we come up to the hill here. I always forget this name, Pirtella. There we go. This one's a tricky one to get right because it's only just a dab of the brakes for a lift. Balance the throttle on the apex. Get the power on nice and early, though, obviously. Run down towards Acqua Minerale, which, as we all know, Tom, is a very tricky, fun, and an interesting complex of corners.
Yes, no, it is. This is the most roller coaster part of all of it, I think, this part of the circuit, because I don't know, it's like you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. It's like it's just all happening all very quickly all at once. But I do find that when you get that part of the circuit quite right, when you know you've hit it correctly, you've been the fastest you can be through that section of the circuit, and there's no better feeling, I don't think, on any other circuit, because it is just such a nice flow you get through those corners. It really does feel just very rewarding getting it right and being quick through there.
It does. And sometimes you fly through there magically without even thinking, and suddenly you're 3 turns up in the delta, you're thinking, wow, how did I do that? I'll do that again next time, and you can never repeat it. But that is just the way of it sometimes in sim racing. But yeah, that is a lap by Leonard, chasing down Nazarian. And then let's see what they're like into turn 1. Obviously, straight lining it as much as they can, shaving off distance on the track a little bit earlier on the brakes is Rosems, obviously wanting to be keen to not run into the back of Nazarian, but also obviously getting a nice exit. We see him able to accelerate slightly sooner than Nazarian as they head down towards the next chicane. This is quite a fun chicane, very sweeping. You flick it on the left-hander, deal with the consequences before the second part, onto the brakes, balance the rear and head towards Tosa. Jeff closer, getting closer to Carpenter, no pun intended there. Christian Kiesig, by the way, 3.5 seconds up the road, Tom. On his way, checked out. We'll see him at the checkered flag, I suppose.
Yes, it does seem that way. He's not really run away as much as that, I don't think, well, at least from my memory remembers. He hasn't really run away like this in a lot of races so far this season, but he just seems to have that little edge on Townsend and the rest of the guys running inside the top 4. It's at least been quite close between Appleton and Townsend. They've both been within a second of each other for most this race now, and as you can see, it's also very close in this battle we're watching now. Dusa Carpenter up against Jeff Kloss, who is right up behind her, but Kloss not really able to find a move yet. Elliot Lewis back with these guys too, and it's about half a second back from Kloss themselves, so we'll have a nice little 3-car fight, I think, brewing in just a second's time. Dan Tomlinson, I think, when these guys get going as well, isn't going to be too far back at all, especially when they all start fighting, slowing each other down. I think that will bring it into another 4th car into this battle as well, so that is something to look forward to. A lot less clumping up this week. With the first 2 rounds we saw a lot of big trains around the circuit, whereas this time I think this is probably one of the longer trains on track, and it's only 3 cars at the moment, so that's interesting to see the difference when it comes to this circuit, because you wouldn't expect that. But I mean, this could easily become a train in a minute, actually, just thinking about it, because as you look in the background, there is a couple of cars there that if these guys do start fighting, they will catch up.
Yeah, and it's often the case. Maybe there's a slower driver, or whatever, doing fuel saving, whatever they may be. Rightly so, they're on track for track position. Obviously, that you've got strategy to play with. Just because a driver behind you is faster doesn't mean you just let them through the door. But often the case, you get these little clumps of traffic, and as soon as that door cracks open and the driver in front makes a mistake, they all want to get through and past that slower driver, or that cork in the bottle, as quick as they can whilst the opportunity's there. Not bully their way past, obviously, but sometimes just coming to that driver who's made the arrow with a bit more momentum is often enough maybe to frighten them a little bit and make them think about closing the door a little bit more. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, Rob Appleton as well, wanting to move up a step on the podium, isn't happy with third. Wants second place from Matt Townsend. Last lap was 4/10 off of Townsend's pace, so yeah, it ebbs and flows a little bit with these two. Obviously, faster lap does go towards Rob Appleton's favour. Maybe Matt Townsend trying to deal with that massive Lexus in his mirrors, trying to ignore him and get the focus down is a bit trickier. But I think this will be definitely a battle that's going to be going on for quite a while in this race. We'll have to keep an eye on these two as well. See who can claim that next spot and be, I've never said it before, Tom, be the best amongst the rest. Bar Christian Kesey, obviously.
He's gone. Look at him, over 4 seconds up the road. He's absolutely flying. He's not teasing us this week. He's like, I haven't got time for that. Well, actually saying that, he's just got in the gravel trap by the looks of it, because that was a lot of dust that just came up. So I think that was a little mistake from Kesey.
Yeah, let's have a look.
I just saw the dust come up, and I think he goes all 4 wheels in. Oh no, he doesn't. Yes, he does. Just about, maybe.
Yeah. Gravel was very dramatic there, wasn't it? Goodness.
It was. I thought we were going to see him just, to be honest, I thought they were going to both overtake him then, and I was going to be eating the words that just come out of my mouth. But luckily, it wasn't too bad. Actually, here's a big group of cars, because there's 2 ahead, 3 fighting in the background, and 2 side by side. Harry Brown with Brian J. Anderson. Harry dropping through the order a bit here I think he was briefly inside the top 10, but has fallen behind Brian Anderson now, down to 14th place. And well, we'll have to think about Connor Dickman, Lesman and Wilson if he can't pick up the pace, and well, that could see him drop all the way to 17th place. Here we go, Mike Wilson on a recovery drive for the order. He's going to give us something interesting to watch, especially against his fellow Lexus driver Lesson. Oh, he's nearly in the rear of Lesson going through there. The Akodis car running up behind. Actually, I think that's another Akodis car. I can't quite tell what the livery is, but it's always LG. Anyway, going down the hill under the DHL advertising into Ravazza. I think this corner as well, it kind of tricks you, because you think, oh, that would be it looks like a perfect overtaking corner, but it just isn't, is it?
No, you're right.
I think sometimes it is, but not most of the time it isn't. You have to be really close if you want to try and make a move in there.
Indeed, and you cost yourself really for the run down the straight. It's so tricky with gravel either side and the balance of the car coming down the hill as well. The Ravazza one, that's more likely the overtaking spot, because you're not worried about the long straight afterwards. But it's tricky downhill braking. It's so awkward to get right, and if you get it wrong, the consequences are dire. Just looking at VE, obviously, by the way, despite Christian Kesey's huge lead, using less fuel than all the others, but still will obviously have to stop and top it up. No matter how much fuel saving and virtual energy saving he does, he will have to put some in the tank, but obviously they're stopping 4 tyres anyway, as we see a puff of gravel as well. Just working out how much they need to add if they want to get it bang on. It's about 17%, just around that amount of extra VE they'll need. So we'll see who puts in a bit more, a bit less, and we'll see who's able to shave off that time in the pit stops and jump their rivals as we continue to watch these 2 Lexuses, Lexipodi, whatever the plural of Lexus maybe. It's not Greek, so it wouldn't be anything like Poda anyway. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, we'll continue watching. And they're nice little colour scheme, aren't they, together? Sorry, I know I'm rambling a little bit here.
No, I mean, you know more than me. I don't even know if it's Greek. I don't know. I make stuff up and hope it works. Usually,
well, Lexus is Toyota's originally came from Toyota's luxury brand, and that's where it spawned from.
Oh yes, yeah. No, I do like them though. They do look. They're just a lot different to everything else in this class. They're not just the basic.
Oh, what a send!
Not the basic car. Oh my goodness! I think it's going to be a contact though. It is. Connor Dickman gets it in the door, and now they are free wide in the circuit. Part of the circuit said you couldn't be free wide, but they have proven me wrong. And actually, as Wilson. Actually, Lesson, 2 places in one corner there because of the mistake from Mike Wilson. But it does mean that they are now going to run side by side. He was slightly compromised on the exit. Just didn't seem like he got the correct run. He really wanted out of that corner. And it does mean that White Wilson's going to come through. Very oh my gosh, they're not leaving an inch between one another here. This is fighting with one another. Oh, it's going to be so close. I'm surprised they're not leaning on each other. Dickman's trying to get involved as well, wanting to claim some places back. Oh, contact between the pair of them. The left rear of the Lexus on the front right of the BMW, and that's actually cost both of them and allowed Mike Wilson to get the places. That could be contested later, though, because I think I probably should say I'm biased, but I mean, that was quite a second and a half, and I think it's fair to say it's a little bit dodgy, but he will continue on. He's past the drivers for now, so at least he can make a better race for himself. And actually, Connor Dickman not giving up, trying to go around the outside of the other Lexus driver, trying to go on the switchback now, go up and over underneath, but no, Connor Dickman can't find the way through just yet. And it's kind of surprising. Lesnar was up behind Dickman and actually now seems to not be able to get the place, well, get away from the car that he was chasing before. Anyway, side by side, it's Dave Spinner versus the Lexus of Ben Sullivan running down the hill into the same corner. Oh, they're so close to one another, side by side. Somehow they both get through the corner. It is Spinner who will finish up the car ahead. Somehow the Porsche of Petr Jananek hasn't found a way through while these two have been side by side. Could actually seems to have the legs a little bit no on the Lexus as they come under the motor advertising boards. And is there going to be an opportunity here potentially for the Porsche? I don't know. It's going to be outside, but eventually smart enough to realize it will turn to the inside, but doesn't quite have the braking that the Lexus of Ben Sullivan has. So Petr Jananek will have to just settle for 10th place for now.
Indeed, yeah, had a few fights spinning off. Jeff Closer losing out to Elliot Lewis as well for 5th there. One thing as well I've just spotted, Tom, is another replay here from our legend Kristen Kiesig. We see the Reggae BMW in the background, and I'm being lied to. That's what happened.
Yes,
there. I was lied to. I would say got my hopes up, but I thought Kiesig had made another mistake there off track. The same spots we saw earlier. Elliot Lewis and Jeff Closer still battling. Mike Wilson in the wars, it seems. With that mega send we saw earlier on, that was huge. It came from so far back with so much speed, but as you say, there may be some contestations, some reports later on, if that's a word I didn't just make up. But Luke Sherlock here, hustling the BMW of Dan Stevens as they head through Acqua Minerale, now up through the hill, get on power with a good time, so you're not stalling at the top of the hill here and giving the Porsche a run as they head towards that tricky chicane to go side by side with obviously fast lap again extended by Kristen Kiesig. These two looking nice and tidy and just pausing that little battle to get through that tricky chicane. Very much more conservative was the Porsche though. Didn't use as much as the exit there, maybe not carrying as much speed through the corner. It says they're obviously braking a little bit earlier as Luke Sherlock as well, just to give the BMW plenty of room through that chicane as well. And obviously just ahead of this.
I was going to say, oh, who's this? This is
Massimiliano Ferrari.
Yes. What's happened here then? Let's have a look.
Oh, loses it on entry. It stops in good time before the wall, obviously, with lots and lots and lots of gravel.
Yes, and yeah, no contact. Maybe some, well, it's going to be a lot of vibration through that wheel now. I think I used to talk, me and Ben used to talk about this on Mondays. If you get it wrong in this game, it is a bit like a power drill through your hands. I think Ben used to say that there was a time where he got off the wheel and his hands were numb because he'd absolutely flat by the tyres, continued the race, and obviously the vibrations through the wheels had completely rattled his hands to, well,
yeah, I can imagine.
Numbness.
Yeah,
it is one of the games that does that better than kind of tire vibration, but it can be brutal at times.
Yeah, definitely. As we see them snaking their way through Acqua Minerale. Heavy usage there at the Lexus, 3.9% average VE usage in the last 3 laps, I think it is. Could be 5, but at least 3, we'll say, as they make their way through tidily through that chicane. Nicely, I must say, all keeping very tightly together in that group still. No one relenting or conceding anything through there. Down the hill towards Rivatzes now, obviously. Porsche looks like he's got a little bit of a run on Ben Sullivan, hold on, what's going on with the thing? Porsche of Petianlek, that's it, on Ben Sullivan. It was flicking between them and the BMW. I think it's how much they were getting close to each other. It was choosing who was closer there as they, extend and spread out as they head towards turn 1. We can see the difference here of, how they got through the final corner and how much speed they have now down the start-finish straight. Looks fairly even, though, still, between these three as they get onto the brakes once again for the first corner.
And that's the thing, there's no real obvious overtaking point for any of these guys yet. They're not really close enough to try and be aggressive. They're not really... Well, actually, that's it. They're not really close enough to try and be aggressive, and none of them are really making any mistakes. It does seem like the BMW of Spinner just slightly lacking in cornering confidence. Just seems a little bit more nervous on the brakes, braking that little bit earlier, and just seems. I think the front end of the car is what I'm trying to say. It looks a little bit pointier under braking as well. I don't know. He just doesn't look like he's driving as confidently as the two cars that follow him. As we ride on board now from the rear end view, looking back at the Lexus that has probably also a big mirror of Porsche currently. It actually looks like the Porsche is closer into... Actually, no, not really. 4 tenths, 2 tenths between all of them. We can ride on board with the Lexus now, the sandwich in the middle, and you can see that the Porsche much closer on the coming into the braking zone. I was going to query a minute ago the fact that maybe the Porsche struggles a little bit more, as I think there was a bit of a misshift there. That sounded like a bit of too high revving. But anyway, I'll go back to the point I was trying to say. The Porsche looks a little bit less confident on the curbs maybe than the BMW and the Lexus. As you can see, Luke Sherlock's had a moment coming out of Aqua Minerale, dropping down the order down to 23rd place now in his Porsche. And I assume has had a spin.
He has, yeah. Let's have a look at the replay here. There's a couple to watch quickly. This is obviously Luke Sherlock coming through Aqua Minerale. We see a couple of cars fighting up ahead. Oh, that's easily done. So easily done there, coming out of Aqua Minerale into the wall as well. And let's have a quick look at the damage he may have sustained. I haven't turned it on OBS. Bear with me 2 ticks when we go back to...
That's okay. Well, I'll just say thank you very much for following Tommy8108. Thank you for the follow. Very much appreciated. And also thank you, Harry Woodbug Penguin, of course, Dan Tomlinson, for his Prime subscription, 24 months with oNiD. He says, yo.
Indeed. And yeah, front and rear damage there for Sherlock after that incident. I presume I can't see any other ones. And there's another one here for Dan Tomlinson as well. We'll have a quick look at them. Oh, just runs it wide into the grab at the final corner. That's the last place you want to do that, Tom.
Quite definitely. And it has cost him a little bit. You can see now 2.2 to the car ahead, whereas they were just behind. But saying that, it seems like they've just kicked up some gravel as well. So that may bring Dan a little bit closer. I think it did by a couple of mini temps there, but it wasn't very much. As you can see, Petianlek still with Dave Spinner trying to find a way upon putts. Wasn't there another car here? Am I forget, or was that Dan? No, it wasn't Dan. Where's the other car gone?
No, you're totally right. As Elliot Lewis selects to pit. Yeah, who was the other driver? That's a very good question.
It was a Lexus. That was it. It wasn't Mike Wilson. It was Ben Sullivan, who's now 22nd. Outlap. So I assume Ben's been into the pit lane.
That makes a lot of sense. Halfway through the race almost. And you know what? That could be very tactical. You know, we talked about earlier, maybe the undercut. Possibly if he's worked out there's some free traffic, which doesn't look like free air. It looks like coming out of the pit exit there. Very, very busy. As the kicking up the gravel does Dave Spiller in his BMW there coming out that corner. Wow. And another instant here for Christian Kiesig, which could be lag again and could be us being lied to. It's lag. Curses. I think one is all we're going to get from him tonight.
Yeah, it was a rare occurrence, and I don't think we'll see it. As the man, it's Tim. I've forgotten his last name, but it's Tim who was in the snowboarding commentary at the Winter Olympics. It proves that Christian Kiesig is human after all. But with that being said, there are if you look to cast your eyes to the track map on the right hand side of your screen, there is some clear spots in the track, and there's some rather big clear bits. There's, as you can see, coming down the main start finish straight into Tamburello and up towards Villeneuve. That part of the track, well, actually it's moved on since I've said that, but you can see almost that half of the track up from where the first turns 2, 3, and 4 are through Tamburello and into Villeneuve, and then basically apart from one car all the way up into Piratella, that whole kind of half of the circuit is pretty free. So if you can find a way out into that section, you're not in a bad spot. You've got some real good fresh air, and that's the ideal place you want to get out. But there are some other little mini gaps you can see on your screen now forming. You can see these guys just running through Variante Alta, now going towards Rivazza, and there's a big gap there as well. As you can see, there's not too much. Well, as you can see, the cars ahead of these guys are just exiting Rivazza now as these guys go into it. So if you can find a gap in there, that's a decent spot to get back on the circuit. But especially the whole left-hand side of the circuit right now, all the way from Tosa to Rivazza, there's not many cars there. So that there is some tactical points to try and get back on circuits, what I'm trying to point out.
Indeed, as pulling out goes the BMW there. There's no BMW. The Porsche of Matthias Jiskinev behind the Lexus, getting closer and closer since Aqua Minerale almost thinking about getting onto the brakes there for turn 1. You know, they pulled out on the start finish straight. They had a great run through the last corner, but the Lexus just pulled away with all its grunt as they continue on for the lap. And that Corvette in the background going very, very wide of Wood. And actually lets Sherlock slip on by. There is also a replay here for Christopher Bell. Have an instant through turn 1. I think he comes off track and rejoins in a funky way as the two Corvettes battling out towards each other. Has to take, obviously, off the circuit and gets going again after that time loss. So no incidents, really. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think the Lexus we were just following before we went to that replays lost a few places. Was it Ben Sullivan? No, it's not Ben Sullivan. Or maybe it was Ben Sullivan. The one that's running the old Toyota livery from the old 90s LMP1 cars. It's not, maybe not Sullivan. Was it Lezen? Maybe. Oh no, there it is. Yes, here it is. Ashley here, running in 16th. I think just lost out to Fusgen. Yes, did the car ahead because they run a little bit wide where we saw Christian Kiesig go off in Villeneuve. So I think they went all 4 wheels into the gravel, which allowed the other Porsche through, and is actually right in consequence has meant that now that they have Luke Sherlock trying to find a way through as well. And actually quite impressed by Luke Sherlock, considering how to spin off the circuit, still sitting inside the top 16 of this field. I suppose actually that comes down to pit cycles too, and when Luke decides to come into the pit lane, but not running too badly. You can see the Lexus has dropped through the order, and there's still a lot of cars in the pit lane. Adisa Carms are in the pits. Not Fusgen, and timing screen exchange. Per Jelinek in the pit lane as well. So a lot of drivers still deciding to pit at this stage in the race, and actually that allows Matt Townsend and Rob Alton to have a little clean air as well, with not so many cars near him. Oh, this is getting tasty.
Here it is, they come out of Tosa, a stream of cars here all in a row. See Mike Wilson leads the charge from Brian Anderson and that BMW just behind, and obviously Harry Brown looking behind, looking for opportunities as well. And not far behind that is also Lexus, which is actually a lapped car, I believe, actually, so we won't worry about them. But these three all actually fairly tidy, snaking their way through up Aqua Minerale. Obviously BMW now under pressure from the Porsche, if anything, of Harry Brown, who's not, been dealing with the Lexus at all. It's just been behind the BMW, but onto the base. Look how much they're opening that corner up, though. It's Harry Brown onto the curb, open up the first part of the chicane, see if you can carry a bit more speed, make the braking zone a bit more diagonal so it extends itself as they head now towards the Rivazzas. I thought there was going to be a move there briefly, Tom, but it seems like they've elected to continue business as usual, as Jeff Closer and Dan Thompson both in the pits now as well. Adisa Carpenter exiting, Petr Jelinek exiting, and that leaves Dave Spiller to move up to 4th to see what they can do as the Porsche of Harry Brown also peels off into the pits. We'll see what the times are, see how different they are when a few more of the drivers have made that decision. Literally halfway now, Tom. 35 laps estimated in this race, 34.5 to be precise.
I've just looked down the screen. There's a lot of weird time. I don't know. I think maybe Sullivan came in for damage because that's very short, but Elliot Lewis, 37 seconds. Adisa Carpenter, 59 seconds in the pit lane. That's a massive difference.
Yeah, let's have a little look on my screen of what the difference is. So let's take Educa Carpenter, 59 seconds. They put in 28% virtual energy. And remember earlier on I said it's probably about 17%, I think. And that's a little bit extra just to make sure as well of what they need to get to the end of this race. Educa Carpenter's put 10% more in, we'll say. 18% has Elliot Lewis added. Where are they on the thing? Oh, I can't see. 37 seconds. So that's a massive difference in time. And Ben Sullivan, you say 2 seconds. That is nothing at all. I wonder what happened with them.
It's interesting to see Dan Tomlinson as well. That quite a long stop, 1:01, which is
Dan Tomlinson.
Oh, sorry.
I think he had some damage, didn't he? Or am I thinking of something else?
Oh, yes. Oh, no, he went through the gravel. I don't know if he hit anyone. I can't remember.
Time stop 26 seconds for Dan Tomlinson.
Oh, okay.
34% VE added, so twice the amount he needed. By my calculation.
Oh, car off there, just going through the gravel. That was one of the Lexuses running ahead. That was Mike Wilson, I think, just going through the gravel trap as Rosums into the pit lane for the first time in this race. You can see as well, a lot of the front runners not coming in yet. There has been one, but Kiesig, Townsend and Appleton, who have all been drivers near the front for most of this race, and Dave Spinner at that fact, hasn't decided to jump into the pit lane yet, so that'll be interesting to see. Will they outsave Kiesig? That would be a shocker, but I very much doubt it. Educa Carpenter is showing us quite well here where it means coming out in the wrong part of the circuit. It's Fusken getting right in the way, and that's putting her under all sorts of pressure from the TC's McLaren of Elliot Lewis, who's stalking her from behind, but it's not really, he's not going to be able to find a move through yet, and actually may not even get past Mercedes Fusken. That was really weird. Just didn't get a run at all. And oh, he's going to hit Fusken. No, somehow doesn't. Runs really wide. That all looks very awkward for Elliot Lewis. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Seemed to struggle on the straight and then just didn't have any brakes in the braking, or seemed half-hearted on where he wanted to place the car in the braking zone, and it obviously eventually meant that he had to run wide. So it's quite unfortunate as all. Fusken actually gives Elliot Lewis a favour and gets the McLaren up on through and past as Fusken drops to 13th place, and it means that, well, at least Elliot can try to close down the gap, or I should say George Russell can try and close down the gap on Educa Carpenter, but we'll have to wait and see. Short stop. I don't know if it was quicker pace-wise as Matt Townsend. Oh, I assume Matt Townsend's been in the pit lane.
No.
Or has he made a mistake? Oh dear. Oh dear.
I can't see what happened. Let's have a quick look on the replays. I did see that they just quickly swapped around. Is it just going to be on track? Yeah, he's letting him by.
Oh. Yeah, is it a sim issue? Or is that some sort of weird saving method?
I'm not sure. Maybe he had some altercation even. Yeah.
I was going to say, you could save fuel just by, I suppose, turn the engine off.
What's that slipstream for the fuel saving? Yeah. I'm not sure. We'll see if he decides to try and get that position back or not. VE-wise, let's have a quick look on the screen. 29% has Townsend, a bit more than Appleton, but not as much, obviously, as Christine Kiesig.
Oh, as he's off. Rob Hamilton loses it, the back end into the wall. Similar situation that we saw with Luke Sherlock earlier in this race. And I think just catches the curb a little wrong. Yeah, takes too much curb. Way too much. And it turned the car into a bit of a monster truck. Slammed back onto the ground after, mounting that curb. And yes, the car was never going to be settled after that one.
Yeah, tiny bit of suspension damage. Probably not enough for him to notice. Obviously, with that tap into the wall. But yeah, Lexi not having the best bit of luck tonight, are they really?
No, not really. I wouldn't say it's a circuit. I imagine that suits them. Very tight and twisty, not particularly... Well, obviously, there's this big straight bit here, but there's not many other bits. It's not really... It can't stretch its legs quite a lot around this circuit, apart from that start-finish straight. It's all Rosums, I think. Is that Rosums going through the ground? No, it's not. It is. I was right. And rejoins. Yeah, they've had a few offs today. Obviously not feeling too comfortable in the Porsche. I think maybe that's just the give of it. Well, I think it's always been acknowledged across most sims that it's quite a slidey car. So I assume it can bite at times as Kiesig will exit the pit lane in 4th place as Wilson jumps out ahead. Anderson goes through as well. And, well, Christian Kiesig will continue on in 6th place. Has got to wait for the cars ahead to stop and probably avoid them as well, as Anderson goes a little bit deep and actually drops a few places in the meantime of that. Nazarian also dropping places, but that's because they're in the pit lane. So you can see Townsend 25%, 22% for Appleton, 24% for Spinner, 21% for Wilson. This will be interesting, actually, because I don't know how much they need. I think do they need to save that much in this race? I don't necessarily think so. I don't know.
Well, so Christian Kiesig has put 20% of Vet's energy into his tank in the stop, and has put himself up at 50%. So that'll be, I suppose, the benchmark. I think most of the people have got it pretty well. I mean, if anything, they're over. Obviously, Jeff Close is pretty close. Again, no pun intended there. 47%. We'll see. That might be close. That might be really close. Whether he can get to the end or not. Obviously, we can see at the top there, 13 laps to go. Their usage is about 3.5% of that.
But most of those top guys need to stop still, because Townsend does, Appleton does, Spinner does. I think Mike Wilson still needs to come in the pit lane.
Yeah, exactly, indeed. Actually, the usage is...
Will they save time?
Yes? Yeah, again, because they're using, on average, lower fuel loads, aren't they? They're running the car for longer with a lower amount of fuel. Tires depending, traffic depending, that's obviously a variable for the guys. But if they have 20% VE now, they're driving at a period where they have 20% VE twice, essentially, whereas everyone else tops up when they get to 30 or 40. They're never going to have that fuel and VE. VE obviously isn't real, but fuel is the weight they're going to be carrying alongside the VE. Twice, if this makes sense. So going as long as you can is the quickest thing to do. Traffic working in your favour as well.
And sorry to Ben. I was going to say, I think Brian Anderson's gone off somewhere, or I should say Trevor Pastrana, as he's dropped down to 11th, 12th now, really dropping through the field. Actually, he's already in the pit lane, and I just didn't look at the screen. Oh, little lag for Matt Townsend.
Oh yeah, lag. Yeah, here's another one. I think we might have seen this one of Rosen's earlier on. I think it's the one you caught, possibly.
Oh no, I think different corners though. This is Villeneuve, so...
Oh, this is Villeneuve, indeed. Oh, it's not just a gravel. Big into the wall.
Oh, rolls over. That's impressive. Back on the wheels. Lucky that they ended up back on their wheels, because it can be tricky to roll the car in this game. But to get back on its wheels is more impressive. Oh, and not a big fan of Avis by the looks of it. And she's got the advertising board back on the racing line.
Let's hope that no one's using those markers for reference to Alco Minerale. Really, they should be using the curb, if anything. But I'm struggling to get going. Obviously, lots of cars streaming on through with the damage on the grass as well. Very tricky to control that car. But at least he hasn't got too far to go for the pit stops. For his pit stop, even.
I was going to say, actually, maybe it's because we're still waiting for pit stops, but a lot of red on the timing screen at the moment. Not many people have gained places. It all looks like a lot of falling back currently. As you can see, Mike Wilson will let through Kiesig. Not going to give it up easy, though. Still, despite he's pushing Kiesig, trying to find a way back through. Got some actually really nice run here. Can they make it work into Villeneuve? I mean, it would be an aggressive move that they don't necessarily need to do in this race. But, I mean, I suppose it keeps us entertained and them entertained. But, no, decides probably not my best choice if I do that. So, Mike Wilson will settle to sit in 5th place. Christian Kiesig will go up to 4th. It's currently about... Well, I think he's within a pit stop of the leader, so I don't think he's at too much risk of losing the race lead. It's just Kiesig things.
No, indeed. I think because the top 3 haven't stopped it either, the predicted laps will probably come down by about 1. I mean, the literal number of laps at the moment is 34.2. So obviously once those top 3 guys peel off, they won't have that track position and lap progression to merit that 0.2, if you see what I mean. So they should have enough fuel, I think. Everyone who has stopped now as well. Anyway, but yeah, very close. What's the Lexus? You have to think about it. You know, if the Lexus is in another position like that, can they get by? And if they can get by, can they hold on to it from Kiesig? because, you know, fuel at that point is irrelevant. Although saying that, as you rightly point out, Mike and Luke haven't stopped yet anyway. But interesting thought experiment, nevertheless. As Luke Sherlock gets a penalty, a drive-through, no less, for something. I'm not sure what triggered that. Let's see where he is. He might be
track
limits. Yeah.
Yes, I think Luke still needs. Yes, as you can see, does still need to come into their pit lane for their pit stop. So that's not very ideal. That he's gonna, I assume, come in to serve this straight away to get over and done with. And that's
and
not
then
ideal.
take a second trip through the pit lane to actually put fuel in.
Yes, it's not good. It was not the strategic call that maybe Luke Sherlock would have wanted, especially after going off earlier as well. It's not the best thing to be doing. But you did mention at the start of the stream it would catch people out the track limits, and I'm afraid Luke Sherlock is the first to fall victim of that.
Indeed, as they take a bit. Do you know what? Rosems hasn't lucky stopped either. Has Rosem joined him for a drive-through? But we would have seen the alert. Unless Rosems. I don't know either.
For the love of the game.
When Luke entered, Rosems has the first box, but Rosems already stopped once. So he must have stopped twice. Let me put this thing on the screen.
Oh, actually, it might have been because the last time we saw Rosems was dragging the car back to the pit lane, so it could have been that.
You're right.
And
of course, that's what it was.
Rejoining. I mean,
indeed.
What a good roll cage. You could never tell that car's gone over.
No, well, he's got it all patched up now. He's got out the rubber mallets and fresh set of boots, probably. Edges are covered, by the way. Oh, God.
Oh, no, I was going to make a joke about it. Puts WSR to shame if you watch the touring car, but yes. Anyway, close. These guys are close racing.
They are indeed. There's a couple more drivers elect to pit. The Dr. Pepper liveried car of Edgita Carpenter. Two things you don't see very often is the Aston Martin and Dr. Pepper anymore, especially in that livery or style, unless I suppose you're in an American candy store. But onto the start finish straight now, nevertheless. Let's see what the difference will be when they get going. Obviously, speed deficit for Edgita Carpenter at the moment, about 5 kph. Evened out a bit now. I'm waiting for it to reset and go past the pits. Yeah, evened out a bit now. But there's just not enough time to do onto the brakes. A little bit earlier, 2 meters earlier is Carpenter onto the brakes than Lewis. Obviously accounting a little bit for the car being ahead of them. But with that much gap, Tom, I didn't think they needed to brake earlier just because there's a car ahead. If anything, you can start pushing that, put the pressure onto that McLaren, force them maybe into an error if you can.
Exactly, I think that's what Adusa needs to do. But actually, the thing was, Adusa was the car ahead when they were out the pit stops, because we saw Lewis earlier behind when they both came up behind Matthias Fusken. So at some point, obviously, Elliot's found his way past, and I'd assume is the car with the more pace in it at the moment. And actually, I think it's proven that currently still, because you can see the gap is opening up. 1.3 seconds is the difference between the pair of them, and actually Lewis probably maybe even at this stage more eyes on the car ahead. Kloss is only 2.7 seconds up the road as all the movie cars running together. That's a nice photo moment, as long as they don't hit each other.
Well, we'll see.
Oh dear.
No, I genuinely don't know, but all I know is there was a yellow flag for Harry Brown in his Porsche, and they're both at the same number on, which is quite annoying because I can't tell who's who. Or who's whom, or whatever the thing might be. 14th is Harry, so I guess they didn't come together after all. I guess there was a little bit of gravel thrown up. And they're all going... Oh, there's a bit of a wobble there, a bit of a snap coming out of vacuum in their holiday for Harry. Maybe giving Luke Sherlock a look, actually, as they head up towards the chicane. Or maybe not. Maybe there's just not enough of a overspeed for Luke. Just having to apply the pressure. 15 minutes to go. About 9 laps, maybe 8 laps remaining in this race. They survived this far. Are they going to push their luck? Matthias Fusken is sideways outside of Tosa here. Let's have a look how that happened. And my mistake, it was out the second Ravazza even.
Let's get it corrected though quite quickly and we'll continue on. Unlucky not to get connected by actually the BM there that we just went through. That was Dave Spinner. going past as we come back to Artemis Ashley up against Fuskin. Fuskin is going to hold on to at least 11th place as of currently, but both of these cars actually together on circuit, both of them are yet to serve their pit stops. Matt Townsend going very long still with these guys in terms of the fact that they haven't stopped. All the cars need 5% for the Ashley and Townsend. Fuskin got 7% VE left running in their car. Somehow Lesson doesn't have a pit time but is on 55%, so I assume there's something gone wrong there. But
so that was the last pit, so they've obviously repaired.
Oh, right.
So let's have a look at total. Lenson, yeah, no, that's a very good point. I don't know.
I think he's jumped out of the car and filled it up with a watering can or something during the race. But actually, it looks like actually under more pressure from the Nazarian, who themselves is under a lot of pressure from Rosm's. Rosm's not actually in this fight, though. Rosm's down the order. I think he's lapped down, so trying to unlap themselves from these two. But needs to be careful, because technically it's not their race to get involved in, but I suppose they can, if they're the quicker car, they can find their way through. It's all getting a little bit feisty. Actually, even feistier up ahead as the Ferrari and one of the other Porsche run side by side into the corner. That was, I think, Maximilio Ferrari just letting through Fuskin. And actually, we'll have another free car to contend with. Actually, would have if they hadn't come into the pit lane. There goes Lexus in for a pit stop. The other cars still stay out, though. Fuskin's not come into the pit lane yet, so they're going to do another lap. Somehow Matt Townsend stayed out for another lap. He has 2% VE left currently in that car.
He doesn't have enough. Are we sure? Yeah, he has to come in this lap. Yeah, I thought so.
There he is.
Yeah, I was really confused because last time I looked at his thing on my screen, he had like half a lap remaining of VE. There was no way he was doing another one. But in he goes. Christian Kiesig, who was 30 seconds or so behind, obviously catching up at a rate of knots. We'll see the predicted laps come down, and we'll see some of the drivers hopefully feel quickly as they realise they've actually got enough VE to get to the end now. And not have to worry about that too much. Harry Brown, we'll go back to that fight. 3/10 off of Nazarian. Porsche on Porsche on Porsche on Porsche on this section, obviously, on the track. Really are trying not to make mistakes. Obviously, get onto the brakes as best you can after this tiresome race. You have to be so concentrated non-stop at Imola, obviously. No rest for the wicked, no room to get complacent, as there's a little bit of areas to kind of check himself as he gets caught up behind Nazarian. Lift off very quickly, which can, really unsettle the car if you're not careful coming out of that corner. Luke Sherlock not in the background there. Obviously, that's Rosen, as you mentioned, trying to unlap themselves with a fresh new car. And not really in that fight, but in a really awkward position. What do they do if they're faster? But those drivers are definitely battling.
Yes, no, they definitely are. Just quickly before it kicks off, thank you, Wookie in Boots, for subscribing with your Prime subscription. Can't get the words out, but thank you very much for that. Oh, these two with one another. Rob Hamilton's fallen quite far off the order as well. Was higher up than Adusa Carpenter. Actually, no, but he did have his spin, didn't he, indeed? So this is now Hamilton trying to, damage control, I would say here. Won a decent result for the season. I mean, finishing in the top 5, not bad at all, as Fuskin and Sherlock come back into the pit lane. Obviously, Luke Sherlock coming in after, probably actually to serve their stop after having to do that drive a few moments ago. Anyway, Colin Dickman trying to, defend from Mike Wilson. Wilson sits 14th, Dickman in 12th place. It seems like the Lexus does have the speed. I don't think Dickman is one of the better circuits for him. He has to do a lot of adjusting with that controller, and I think it's hard to probably get the smoothness of this circuit that it requires. It just look at him now, just very twitchy, just trying to get the car in the right place on the circuit to get it to turn in. It looks ever so, actually it looks quite tricky. I won't even say slightly. It looks very, I'll up it to very. It looks very tricky for Conor Dickman, but he's doing a good enough job here, as Wilson still currently can't find a way through, and now he has 10 minutes to do so. So Dickman's gonna have to try and make that a pretty wide BMW for now. But doing a good job of that. The M4, as it runs up the hill, up towards the braking zone yet again. As you can see, Christian Kiesig resumes in the race lead. Townsend is in second by 31 seconds. So it is a Kiesig masterclass we are seeing here tonight. Will it be a masterclass of an overtake here from Rob Appleton, though? Let's see. Adusa Carpenter looking well, actually Bob Alton looking to the inside of Medusa Carpenter, but yes, not quite able to make it work in that Pennzoil car. You probably shouldn't drink one of these sponsors, not going to say which, but as you come into Villeneuve, again, not close enough. It's Lexus. And this is where it gets into the part of the circuit where there's not really too many places that you can have a look up the inside. He does try. I think that was less of a send and more of a try and force Medusa into a mistake, actually, which I think the Lexus may have just achieved, because as they run up the hill, it seems to get a better run, but again, it's just tantalizingly not close enough to have a look up the inside. And Mike Wilson has got a little bit too excited on the brakes again as he runs through the gravel at turn 3, and that gives Colin Dickman quite a bit of breathing room.
It did, yeah. I was keeping an eye on that because those two battles were going on at the same time, and the delta, the gap was exactly the same. It was incredible. Obviously, Mike Wilson there just got the move done by going very deep into the track, as you saw. These two going through the chicane, so tired of these two, and half of this circuit or more is Rob in that Lexus just going, just get through this corner, just keep up, just waiting, trying to see some semblance of an opportunity of an overspeed, because some of these corners, like coming down Rivazza, you have to commit ahead of time to the move. You can't just pull out at the last second unless you really surprise the driver. You really want to come off around the kink, stick to left, onto the brakes, claim that space as your own, for example. So really is just waiting for an opportunity to strike. Is the Lexus V8 on V8, actually. I nearly said V12 again. Both these engines, fair bit of grunt as they head towards turn 1. They're not in it this lap, though, for the Lexus of Appleton yet, unfortunately. But, still some laps to go. And by some, by the way, Kriesig, as you mentioned, 32 plus gap to P2. Do you want to know how many laps are really predicted, Tom? 34, and this is rounded 0.0. So if Kriesig lets up an amount, he could do one less lap and this race could be over one less lap sooner. Or maybe he'll be mean and go an extra lap and see how much VE people actually have. But, we'll see what it does. But that's how close it is, basically, in this race. These two getting close together. The gap has halved since we saw them last at turn 1. On their way up towards, through the top of the hill now, which I can't remember the name. Puritella, that's it. Down towards Acqua Minerale, obviously fantastic corner. Again, Aston Martin just opening up the corner a little bit more. They get a bit closer through the middle of the complex here, onto the gas now, nice and early. Keep the car nice and smooth. Getting closer and closer as the Lexus, both these drivers to on the right side of the track. The Aston Martin defending drifts over to the left a little bit as they get to the braking zone of the chicane. Goes over the curbs nicely. Onto the gravel goes the Lexus, spoils any run he may have had. And he'll have to do it all over again, Tom, as the lap time counts down, as the laps count down, as the time in this race counts down, so do his opportunities.
And also, it's running out of time for Eric Lewis too. It's bringing that gap down to the class. Was over 2 seconds, now 1.4. But I'm sure Elliot Lewis will be pushing to the end. So will these two. Connor Dickman back under pressure from Mike Wilson. Since he's up alongside, he's found the gap. But I don't think he's going to give this up if we're seeing anything else today. And it's pretty personal between these two. A bit of a forced move past by Mike last time round into the Rivazza. Actually, I shouldn't say last time round. Quite a while ago now, when these guys were in a freeway fight, and neither of them giving an inch as they go under the DHL advertising. The Lexus is going to have the inside. The BMW is going to have the inside for the Rivazza, though, forces their way through, and great driving by Connor Dickman to hold on. It is going to be Mike who looks back up the inside. Takes a lot of curb, though, and that's stalled the Lexus's momentum coming onto the straight. You would have expected Connor Dickman to be the one losing out at that point because of how wide they had to go through the corner, but actually it's the Lexus, and all this fighting is bringing you can see the Shell logo just in the background, Anderson into this battle as well. I mean, Trevor Pastrana into this battle as well. So this could get interesting. 5 minutes to go. Can Brian join this battle?
Yeah, I mean, we saw Mike Wilson come out of the Rivazzas, the first Rivazza, claim a bit of the inside track for himself there, and just keep the BMW out on the outside line, not able to cut the corners much, but they just compromised themselves with a bit of a half measure. He didn't have it done, but he didn't back off and resume on the racing line and carry that momentum through the final corner. Whilst this leads to pressure on, let's have a quick replay of the last time we saw Mike Wilson send onto turn 1, just to see his kind of commitment, really bold onto the brakes, a long way back, straight line, and not even a chance of turning that Lexus, Tom. And I think that's kind of the, I'm going to go beyond race story, but series story of Mike Wilson, who has his great pace and, very good qualifying and a great start but he's a bit too aggressive, I think, early on, and tries to look for moves too early where they just aren't there, and it costs him. He's down 6 places now. He clearly has more pace, but he just stuck in this traffic because he was so aggressive so early on.
Yes, and I think that was the key. I think that's been the key to the whole series, and he's been doing the opposite of it. It's about patience, and I think he's just lacks a little bit of patience as through goes finally at Rob Appleton past Adisa Carpenter's got the move done with 4 minutes on the clock remaining. So can Adisa come back at all to try and reclaim a finish inside the top 5 of this GT3 field? I don't necessarily think they can. They haven't shown the pace, but actually are staying with the Pennzoil car. That's the thing, you kind of get in a flow. It's a little bit like the old kind of football thing. You're kind of brought down to the level of your opponents that you're facing, and I think once you do get past, sometimes you kind of get a bit like, oh, how was I driving this circuit before? And it gets all a bit nerve-wracking. It's actually down the inside again. Big send, similar to what we saw earlier, a lot cleaner than what we saw earlier. It goes Wilson, gets the move actually done and dusted there. Very nicely done. Picked that out well.
Yeah, very nice, very clean. Came with plenty of space, plenty of room, and did it very nice. Lennon Rosum, speaking of textbook, things not to do. Let's have a little look how this happened again.
I mean, Bosch is the thing to describe what's just happened there.
I wonder if the G meter won't work in the replay. Oh, as a snap coming through the second chicane. Rear goes in, wing comes off.
Were they braking? I mean, the rear lights never came on.
I mean, what good would it have done?
Oh, well, I mean, it might have took off a little bit of speed. It was just like they were like. I mean, I suppose it's been their race to their bit, these crashes. So I think it's you kind of get to that point where you just go all straight faced and you're like, you just accept your fate, don't you? And it's a little bit unfortunate as well.
It's a bit weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's not looked entirely settled today, Rosums. Whatever they've done with the setup, even if they've changed the setup of the car, maybe it's just the stock setup of the Porsche, just looks a little bit nervous, and it is not inspiring too much confidence, I don't think, in Rosums at the moment. But they do continue on in fair play. They haven't given up, and well, that's exactly what you should do.
Well, Frane Doric is last, obviously. Unfortunately, I think we missed it, but I think it was a lap one. Actually, I've got it if we've got a moment of
yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it, to be honest.
This was the replay at the start. We didn't see this, unfortunately, but we're obviously seeing it now. If I can get a better helicam maybe of one of these. They're all grouped together. We see them in the background. This was huge. How did we miss this, Tom? Wow, the Mercedes there, Frane Doric spinning around, picking up cars as he goes.
And I think lost a wheel because it looked a little bit Robert Reliant-y. It looks like it's doing a little bit of a ka-chow kind of pose. The front right wheel, just you can see ever so slightly in the air. Oh, and it's not even Fran's fault here, is it? No. Oh, actually, you
know what it is? It's the kink probably. You know, towards turn one, everyone thinks they're going straight when really they're slightly turning. Yeah, very unfortunate. Sad we missed that earlier on, but lots was happening.
Yes, well, there wasn't really any elements of it. You didn't see much white puffs of smoke or a car spinning off in the background. I suppose that's the great thing about, the advantage and disadvantage, shall I say, of having a good, decent grid size for tonight is the fact that they do cover maybe some of these accidents that go on in the background. But unfortunate, especially considering it's 30 Merc in the series as well, that we've basically lost the chance of seeing tonight.
Yeah, no, exactly. The one lonely Mercedes. And do you know what? The grid's actually flanked by Ferraris I've just seen. We've got Massimiliano Ferrari, naturally, P23. Naturally in a Ferrari, not naturally P23, for clarification. Matt Townsend in P2. Lofty heights for Matt Townsend. Obviously, Chris Downing not able to attend tonight's race. Who would usually be in Matt Townsend's slot, if I'm honest. But whilst we've also got... Actually, we'll wait to the end. Wait to the end to see the standings and see how that affects us.
I was going to say, actually, it would be interesting to see where Townsend goes up, because with the drop round that he has, although there are two, but with the drop round he has, it could be interesting to see if that boosts him at all this week. It might be next week that we see that take effect. But Lesham's now running in the side of the top 20, but it's going to be... Well, it's going to be a bit of under a little bit of pressure in the last 10 seconds of this race, because Luke Sherlock is running behind. Where's Kiesig on circuit?
He's just crossed the line. You know when I said it was really close, 34.0?
Yes.
He crossed the line with 4 seconds to go. That's how close it was. He couldn't let that go.
Yeah, I mean, he could have. Poor guy. Come on. He's
I
just
know.
trying to torture people, but no, fair play. If he has the pace, no need to let off. He's going to continue on. He's going to keep going. It'll be interesting to see what that does to the rest of the field, though. Just trying to go that a little bit longer in this race. Obviously, some people have saved a bit. Easy has 3%, Townsend 4%, so they should be fine to go another lap through, even though they are a little bit further down the road. Kloss on 3%. That could be a struggle potentially, depending how far back they are. Actually, it's interesting to see how Kloss is quite close to Matt Townsend
That's
as well.
what I was just looking at. And you know what? Earlier on, and you can quote me on this, I said about 17%. I've probably said it like 5 times. So anyway, 17% is the amount of virtual energy you need to add at your pit stop to nail it. A little bit extra just in case. Jeff Closer, I suppose, decided to listen to me. And there's the only driver to put in 17% of VE and spent a mere 19.3 seconds stopped in the pit lane. That's 3 seconds quicker than Matt Townsend, 3.4 seconds quicker than Matt Townsend. That's 1.4 seconds quicker than Christian Kiesig, 7 seconds quicker than Rob Hamilton. And that I can only attribute the reason to his success. Up 3 places since the start. Obviously, has Elliot Lewis knocking on his door.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Has Elliot Lewis knocking on his door? Yeah.
It's
not over yet.
Close, and it's coming down quite considerably as well. I don't know if Kloss is feeling the... Oh, actually, Kloss is on 1% VE, so it's a little bit... there's a lot of the track to go still as well. Got to go up the hill here now, up towards Rante Alta, then into Ravazza, the two of them, and then across the line. So it's going to be a little bit... Well,
it's going to be so... squeaky bum or whatever the term is.
Yes, it is, especially because Elliot Lewis is there as well. So Kloss is kind of in a sticky situation as Rosham's drive through for speeding in the pit lane. That's a nail in the coffin, really.
Yeah.
It's a breaking, so Lewis knows he's close.
He has 0%. To concede this, surely. You'd give this up instead of having a 130-second penalty. Surely you'd give up P3.
I think they could. Well, don't know.
Well, no, because they'll get a penalty. If not, he's let go of everything. He's off the throttle. Yeah. He's giving it up. Is Rob Hamilton going to squeeze through as well?
Yes. Oh dear, oh dear.
No. 0.2 is the gap there at the line. No way. Unbelievable. Maybe he should have put an extra 1% in. Why did he listen to me? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, God, what an idiot. Anyway, it's it's still a good drive by Kloss there to at least get in 4th. I mean, decent drive by Elliot Lewis as well to get 3rd. I think that's the first podium in the season for him. Very nicely done. Townsend, good result, running in 2nd place. Got all the top 10 finished as well. Rob Appleton eventually is in 10th place. Actually, wait, why is that changed? Did he get a penalty at the end?
There was a drive-through given for a driver. Let me have a look.
I don't know. It was
Rob Appleton and Lennon Rodham's both got a drive-through at the end.
Yes, I was going to say, because it must have been right at the end for Rob Appleton, because obviously that drops him down to steps. So that's quite gutting for Rob. So that gives him, after all that work, it just comes to actually does maintain 5th place, I should say. 6th, then obviously moves up Dan Tomlinson.
So
oh dear,
the race isn't quite over, is it, Brian? Because you haven't crossed the line. No.
Can someone give him a push? Well, Trevor Pastrana finishing.
What does this man do? Here we go. 0% fuel, 0.4% virtual energy.
Surely someone could give him a push.
The tank is empty. Oh, dear.
Someone go around, push him.
The thing is, if he doesn't get a penalty, he'll finish 17th, though, right? Because the other drivers have finished. Oh no, because he wouldn't have crossed.
Possibly. No, he went across the line. He's reversing.
It's just downhill, isn't it?
Trevor Pastrana finishing in style here.
Oops.
He's
there he is. Look at this angle. This is fantastic. Which cameraman's leaning, peeking through to see the BMW?
This is very sad.
This is very sad. What a way to end.
No one's come around to push him. He's just gonna have to.
There's no one left. Everyone's gone home. They've packed up.
Yeah, I forgot about him. The F1 will come in for their season. Yeah, I was going to say the F1 will come in for their season finale, and not Rob.
Oh, I wish
he'll just still be sitting there.
The F1 don't race here anymore, do they? Unfortunately.
I think the rumor is it's. I haven't actually read it. I probably should read it, but I think the rumor is that it is coming here as one of the replacements for one of the Middle Eastern rounds that can't be taking place. So I think the rumor is that this is rumored to be the final round. or at least one of the rounds anyway. Anyway, let's get back to the ELMS. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the result. Here we are. Christian Kiesig. I mean, not really much else to say. Perfect as always by Christian there. Really, we didn't have to comment on him much because he was just quick and he called it to perfection. So a very deserved winner. As you can see, Matt Townsend in second. It's going to be third place for Elliot Lewis. Fourth for Jeff Kloss. Kind of agonising as well. If only 1% more for Jeff Kloss would have been enough for a podium in this series. But fourth, still good enough. Rob Appleton says fifth, drops to 10th place though due to a time penalty. Adusa Carpenter, 6th place. Actually, well, that puts it out of sync actually. But anyway, Adusa Carpenter, 5th place. It's going to be 6th for Dan Tomlinson. It's going to be 7th for Petty Jelinek, 8th for Ben Sullivan, and then 10th for Rob Appleton. That puts Dave Spinner into... Oh, no. Dave Spinner's 9th, and then 10th for Rob Appleton. Then we go back to normal. There we go. So Osef Nazarian will finish 11th. Harry Brown is actually a decent 12th in the end. Comes back for the order. Mike Wilson, after some absolutely cents and a halves, finishing is in 13th. 14th for Connor Dickman after, tried to defend from Mike, but couldn't quite get it done. Christopher Bell finishes 15th. Quiet race, but finishes around where they started. 16th for Dan Steffens. In 17th, it's Brian J. Anderson, even though he didn't finish, apparently. So that's all right. He's still been classified. 18th for Alex J. Wood. Mateus Fusgen finishes 19th. 20th for Kevin Lezen. 21st, I should say, for Luke Sherlock. It's 22nd for Artemis Ashley in the last of the Lexuses. It's going to be 23rd for Maximiliano Ferrari. Alan Appleton finishes 24th and is the final finisher after, poor Leonard Rosham's disqualified from the race. I assume that's due to the late drive-through penalty that they received. Stop and go, I should say. And Frane Dorich, we lost on the first lap of the race in a multi-car collision.
Yeah, bit through the wars was Leonard, really, unfortunately. Throughout the series, actually, as well, if I remember correctly. They haven't, it's not that they don't have, I remember seeing them, some good laps here and there, but yeah, unfortunately, very unlucky tonight. Obviously, this may be provisional, but let's see how that affects the standings. Christian Kiesig, we say no more about that here. Petty Jelinek up 2 places in the standings, Tom, fantastic for them. Obviously, if there is a drop round, that's accounted for here as well. Up 2 places, as we said, Petty Jelinek. Rob Appleton remains in third, 217 points, very close to Petter, 2 points away. Elliot Lewis, 199, fourth, up 4 places. Dave Spiller up 2 places as well. So really, we are seeing these clusters of battles in the standings as well. In the standings. Yeah, the series standings, Tom, as well. So, yeah. And actually, it's really close all the way down. 7 points, 12 points, 1 point, 10 points. It's very, very close all the way down to 10. Jeff Closer with that result tonight. Fantastic result. Up 7 places as well.
That's been the thing of this season. So far all been just very, very close, tight racing. And you can see everyone's kind of had a yo-yo results. You can see Elliot Lewis, P10, P11, P3. It's really come alive for him this week, whereas a lot more consistent by Rob Appleton. It's a P3, P5, P5. Then a kind of yo-yoing down the order, Petty Jelinek, P4, P6, P8. And you can see, interestingly, I think Matt Townsend's going to absolutely skyrocket through the order once the drop rounds come into place, because P3, P2, Chris Downing P2, P2, and obviously he's going to drop this round as well. So they'll come back flying up through the order when the 2 drop rounds take effect. But I mean, to be fair, those results are too different to what Appleton and Petter have done. So it's close. It's close. That's all you can say. Very, very tight championship. Just ignore the man at the top.
Yeah, I know, that's the thing. We'll scrub him off next week. Don't worry. But looking forward, obviously, Spa next week. What a different kind of circuit altogether from Imola. It's good in its own right. Going to give the drivers a lot more breathing room, a lot more opportunities at Spa, and hopefully a bit more of a challenge with their virtuality and trips through the pits, because obviously you don't want to go through the Spa pit lane more than you have to, so you don't get the V calculation wrong. And if you do get the calculation wrong, you've got a long lap, Tom, before you can fix it. You've got to be crawling around the long straights, trying to conserve that energy.
I mean, I was going to say, I mean, there's worse places to be going slow though. It's such a lovely part of the country, or of the world, actually, I should
through
say.
the
So
Ardennes, it's fantastic.
yeah, it is lovely. There's literally trees there beyond the eye can see, and because you're at the top of this kind of massive forest of trees, it's just like a big wave as it goes down into the hills, and it kind of comes up again as well. It's a lovely place to look at, and
It
good
is.
food as well.
Well, I can't attest the food, unfortunately. We'll take your word for that, but certainly is a fantastic place in the world, despite any histories that may have taken place there. Silverstone the following week, obviously, and Portugal the week after that. Another change from next week onwards is you'll be joined, Tom, by Aidan, broadcasting and co-commentating. So this ends my stint. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you everyone for joining us. Tom, would you like to run us through the remainder of the week?
Yes, I've got to find it. I think yes. So we've obviously had the Tuesday series. So it's Thursday tomorrow. So that means we've got the SimHound Mazda Evo Championship. This is obviously the last stream of this week. So if you ask politely, I've already seen them do it once this week. You can join this series, even though the entry is closed. But August 27th, that's tomorrow, you've got round 3 of the series, and it's from Circuit of the Americas on the national layout. So that should be quite a good laugh in these little MX-5s. So there you go. You can get involved with that. Just go and ask Ben, or you can go and ask Andy as well to join that series on the Discord. You can also be sure to take part in the SimHound Sprint Race Sundays LMP3 Championship. There's still spaces in that, so I'm sure, again, if you ask very nicely, someone will let you in. They've had 2 rounds, so round 3 again is going to be at Monza, so that's going to be a good bit of fun as well. And those LMP3 cars, they're a very friendly car to drive. Do encourage a lot of confidence out yourselves, and a great starting point to get into the prototype sort of stuff that we do. Actually, on the 28th as well, still entries open for our Project Motor Racing event that we're holding on the 28th. That's something to get involved with if you want to enjoy that as well. And then following the start of next week, that's really when the streams get going again. Let's see what we have on Monday very quickly, if Tom can find where Mondays are. There we are. It's the oNiD XTSRC SimHound multi-class series. So that the races start from 7. Actually, the practice starts from 7:30. But you can make sure to get involved with that. It will be the streaming team of, if Tom can find it, there we go, the streaming team of Scotty and Paul Hydra on Monday. Then it's going to be the AC Formula Ford series that we run on a Tuesday. Your streaming team for that will be Ben and Jarrett Page. That will be starting at around 10 to 7, that stream, according to the timings. Let's see what they'll be racing at this week as we go through the order. This is, sorry, a bit long-winded, but I'm trying to work it out as I go. So September's 1st, start of the month, they'll be at the how you say that name? Schnetzenring for a sprint race and a feature race around there. So that's what you've got to look forward to over the next week and into next week as well.
Indeed. But yeah, that's all from us tonight, I think. Anything else, Tom?
No. Thank you very much for joining me, Sam, over the past couple of weeks. Thank you for streaming. I really enjoyed, well, especially the graphic and start stream. That was fantastic. So, yes, all good fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that graphic as well. Shame, I mean, Imola's got some innovation, but other circuits may demonstrate them more, such as Spa. I'm sure that'll be a pleasure to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can tell you from walking Spa, there's a lot of elevation.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, and as always, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us in chat. Join the Discord. If you haven't already, there's plenty of banter, plenty to get involved in. Do join us next week, as per usual, and we'll see how this series concludes. It's been fun to commentate so far, and it's going to be a pleasure to watch the remaining 3 weeks. But yeah, thank you, and good night, everybody.
Bye.